Well, thank you very much. The today's topic is the dopamine rush, the dopamine trap, that how short form videos and AI are rewiring our attention span. The learning and the young minds, how they are being affected, how everything is being affected by the dopamine effect of the social media. This topic blends psychology, dopamine drive, addiction, control, mental health, academic procrastination, critical thinking, all these terms that you hear everywhere. It covers all that, but in a negative part, that how the social media is bringing all these terms into use. Why these terms were not there just few years back. These terms were only medical terms few years back, and nowadays everything that we hear, we think around these terms. Why every child is using the word procrastination, addiction, dopamine, these dopamine traps? Why every child is using these terms? These terms were not even literary, even these were purely medical terms. With the advent of social media, everyone is using that. So recent studies nearly in 2024 to 26 on platform X discussions also show strong evidence of shortened attention span. Everyone is talking about attention span that is very short span, means people are not having a consistency pattern. People get bored, and we have heard about these things a lot of the times, but this is the reality that we are facing, and that is going to impact our future generations, and the impact is going to be so much that we will be having a total different habitual patterns. It's a mixed AI impact and growing our parental, and it's in an alarming way that in our educational pattern, in our parental way, it's an alarming way. So there are going to be 10 questions nearly that are paired into this topic. So we have to understand these 10 topics that we'll be going through. These are not common topics, these are relevant topics. Okay. In this lesson or in this section, we'll be discussing and cooling all the comments and debates around this topic, that how everything is surrounded by this emotional span. I don't call it the attention span, I call it emotional span, because this emotional span is the one covered by our emotions. It is affected, or if it's affecting our emotions, it is nothing to do with attention span. So one of the question we hear is, we have all heard the goldfish attention span myth. Has TikTok and Reels actually made it worse for kids and students? How does it work? So we have to understand the goldfish span, the goldfish attention span myth, it is real. Yes, according to multiple 2024 to 2020, between 24 and 26 studies, heavy short form videos use correlates with reduced attention spans and more distractibility is there. People are distracted quickly because the attention span is covered by only just one swipe. One swipe covers everything. So people get distracted very quickly. So it brings out the academic procrastination. People get lazy because they know that with one click they can switch their mood, they can switch their attention. So all this meditation of goldfish attention span is covering our emotions and changing our behavioral patterns in a way that right now we cannot even imagine. Our recent analysis of data over nearly 100,000, you can say nearly 98,000 to 100,000 people, it showed that consistent negative effect on attention and inhibition across all ages. It doesn't show the negative effect on a certain class. Like we always say that whenever we talk about social media, we talk about the young generation, like Gen Z and people after that. No, it is covering the span, it is removing the span of everyone, it is removing the span of everyone of all ages. So it's not only affecting a certain age, it is affecting from the younger generation to older generation, everyone. So TikTok, it's called a TikTok, you can say the TikTok brain, Insta brain, YouTube brain, because everyone's brain is surrounded by that knowledge, that attention span that is shown on those screens. So that's how we can label them now. Okay, this is TikTok brain, this is Insta brain, this is We call these people now with these names. But is it permanent rewiring or just a habit we can bring? What's your screen time you are looking at? Sometime I get a screen time of 8 hours, 10 hours a day. So you can imagine the way it goes. It is not easy to understand. It is not easy to understand these time frames. So you have to understand that these things are not irrelevant to us. These things are so much in control of us that we cannot cover these things. We cannot stop these attention spans. We have to ask this question: is it short term counter destroying our kids abilities to learn deeply, or is it just evolving how education needs to work? These are not short term. It is harming, and it is destroying our deep learning patterns. So what happens, these studies on about real reels on TikToks or Instagram, these shows that consumption to poorer academic performances. So what happens, there's a very bad material on there. People, for their likes, for their shares, for their attention grabbing tactics, they produce a very bad kind of impact, bad kind of material on this platform. So what happens, they end up giving a negative content to our children, to our generation, to us as well. So what happens? Along with these performances, difficulty with long tasks, even brain changes tied to behavioral control, everything comes up. So students who are exposed to short videos, they cannot concentrate on studies even. How can they concentrate on studies when they 24/7 they're on a video pattern of small videos swiping along the mobiles? What can they do? It's not even in their control, and we start blaming them when we are giving them these materials. So what happens? So in this pattern, the real risk is displacing unstructured play and boredom tolerations, which build less focus. Listeners, what the listeners have to do is, listeners have to notice that your kids are abandoning books or long videos, because when they are not taking on the long videos, they are abandoning their books. So what is happening? They are going for short forms. That is the reason. It is not they want to avoid books or long form materials. It is because of the short span they have been infused with, because they are used to of small short span videos. So they cannot concentrate. It's not in their nature, it's not in their control even anymore. So the next part should be that discussion of that part will be that parents are calling TikTok the biggest threat to the kids. And this is the reason. Even in London, there was a, you can say, a small event by an MP. I couldn't attend that, but in that one, that was supposed to be a discussion that people under 16 should have social media or not. So that's how dangerous it has become, that MPs are organizing debates on that. So people under 16 are having so bad impact on their lives and for their future, that MPs have to do the discussion that should children under 16 have the access to social media or not. That's how it is gone to that level, to a dangerous level. So this has overblown panic and justified the alarming situation now. So now, backed by the data, because when MPs are arranging these debates, so that means this is backed by data. It is not random discussion. It has produced anxiety, social comparison, addiction, and certain patterns that are contributing towards these discussions and rules. So even on platform X, show that real stories of kids spending 6 to 8 hours daily. I'm talking about kids. I should talk about myself. I spend like more than 8 hours sometime on social media. So what I'm talking about anything, I'm a victim of that as well. I'm a habitual, uh, you can say, person on that part. So how can I expect not anyone else to do that? So not every user is addicted. I'm not addicted, but you cannot control that. When something is in your hand like that with that span of time, it gives you a dopamine rush to go forward, stay on that part. It's not in your control. So what's your rule? You have to create the rules in your house. You have to create the rules in your pattern. So whatever rules you are creating, the kids will follow, and eventually that is how they're going to be brought up, and their personality is going to be around that pattern. So now, like ChatGPT and other mix of AI tools, is it saving education by personalizing learning or making student dumber? I believe it's a way, the way you use it. But we are not smart enough. We can say that we are smart enough, but we are not smart enough to understand that part. We are not smart enough to use these tools yet. Even the AI gurus are not aware of the pattern of these tools because these have just been launched. We don't even know the impact, the shape it's going to take. So both AI boost engagement, motivation, and outcome of many other platforms through tools and instant feedback. But these things, research skills, teacher born 70% of the teachers worry about this, that people are getting dependent on AI tools. They are not using their mentality, their intellectualism. They are getting dependent for every answer on the tools. So as we have to see that these skills are demolishing, these tools are demolishing the skills in humans. So we have to understand that when we are talking about the skill set, the intellectual pattern of humans, we have to understand these tools are mere, should be used as mere tools, not as something that is surpassing our intellectualism or destroying our intellectualism. Now the next part should be discussing, why do these dopamine hits from these scrolls that we are using, this from scrolls and AI answers, feel so good, but they actually cost us so much in focus and well-being that we cannot even counter that part. These scrolls that we are doing again and again, they give us dopamine rush and they make us feel good. But why is it happening? Short videos, quick AI outputs, we give a prompt and the answer is suddenly there. Rapid awards, and these dopamine rushes, what's the effect on our brain in that part? What is the effort that we are putting in there? Is it the less a reward of less effort, or is it without any effort we are getting the results? Is it that's the reason we are catching up these parts? So the point is, this can increase also the impact on our loneliness. The, you can say, isolation factor is there. Is that the reason we are getting dependent on our social media? The isolation, the loneliness factor. The positive side is also there. AI reduces frustration and builds efficacy, that okay, we can get everything in a quick way. The key question for listeners is, are we trading long term cognitive health for short term convenience that we are getting everywhere? So are we compromising on something to get short term effects? That we have to understand, that we have to learn side by side. Now, with regarding the scores dropping in most states, like in most part of the world, smartphone, TikTok explodes, is exploding everywhere. Is technology the villain in education, or is it, or our education is in crisis right now? So we have to understand that, is technology becoming the villain for our new generation, or is it saving us, or is a new crisis coming up, or already there? It's not a crisis coming up. I think technology is a crisis already setting up in our society, in our children life, so in our lives as well. But we have to understand the way we portray this in front of our children, that is the way, that is the thing that is going to define it. A major contributor it is, yes, towards our economy, towards our lives, the betterment of our life. But that infinite algorithm, the infinite scrolling, infinite scrolling dopamine, that will just destroy us. That can destroy us. In fact, that is the only reason we are having this discussion right now. This shift and combining education shift is creating a lot of thinkers to think otherwise. AI could help using personalization, but only if we teach a deliberate action. If we are teaching our children a deliberate action, only then it can help. Otherwise it will create so much a negative push that it cannot be fixed. It will go beyond limits. There will be no reformed curricula for both, even in the positive or negative side. So you have to understand these factors. Now the next part is, teachers are educators, okay, but they are losing battles for their students attention against the algorithm. What's happening? Teacher cannot justify their students that okay, please listen to us. Whatever they are trying to, even nowadays in schools, children are constantly in front of their mobile screens. Teacher cannot do anything, and teacher cannot request them to listen to them even. This is happening. I have seen that in schools in local areas, definitely, where teachers are literally begging their students to leave mobiles and come and listen to them. That's what's happening in the market. So there are things that are happening very fast paced, and they are creating our habitual brain pattern, but we cannot control that. Even it's again, it is not against the children or anything. It is the way we are portraying it in front of children, or we are letting them use it. That's the reason. It's not an excuse to blame children. Even they should not be blamed. They are naive. They are totally blameless. So, but we are providing these tools to them 24/7. So, what should happen then? This is the result. The sound downside is that it reduces teachers and peers and student connection. The time period of teachers and student connection is reduced now. What can you do then? Because of social media, the connection between teacher and student is gone. You cannot do anything. Teachers are not being listened. Teachers are not being listened by the students. So the connection is not there because of this small screen, small scrolling pattern. You cannot do anything. So could banning or heavily restricting these short form apps can affect, or it should be given to only 18 plus people? As I said to you, definitely it can be considered, because the effect it is producing on our younger generation, it should be a debate. I'm not against or pro towards any of this situation. It should be given to younger generation or not, but definitely it is producing a huge effect. So the way it should be given, there should be a debate. Definitely there should be limits, there should be bans, and there should be some limitations as well by the government. And government, as I always say, is like a parent. So they should step into this part, and they should look into this. And that there is a time coming up. Obviously the industries, the big giant companies, they won't want that, but still it should be done, and there should be some regulation. In fact, these companies, the positive point will be if these companies step in for these regulations. In fact, parent will support them, the industry will support them, the civilization will support them more. That's the point the industry is not understanding. If they step in for these regulations, it will have a positive effect on their company revenue. In fact, everyone will want to buy that because they are being used in a limited way, in a positive way for their children. So hopefully the discussion was positive. Thank you very much.